Hello, Bill speaking.
Hey, Bill, this is Robert Berry. How are you?
Good, Robert. How are you today?
I'm good. You're not anywhere near that hurricane, are you?
No, we're really, really far south. The only effects we got were just like we're going to get some rain right now, just a little bit of wind. But I tell you, the last 5, 6 years we've been very lucky down here in Fort Lauderdale. We've just dodged a few bullets here and there, but it seems everyone around us is getting hammered.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, when you say south, I always think, well, that must be the bad place, but it's not evidently.
No, I tell you, if you look statistically, I mean, Georgia, the Carolinas, Virginia, Long Island, New York, Connecticut, those are kind
Yeah,
of the new
yeah.
targets now. Everything is going further north, so it's very
Well, I
interesting.
get New York. I understand New York. They're trying to target New York.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It must be the attitudes there or something. Hey, wait, I lived
You
in New
know
York for
exactly what I'm talking
16
about.
years. What am I talking about?
Ah,
So
right.
yeah, so we're talking with Robert Barry today, and thanks to John Lappin, who, let me tell you, you are with one of the best people in the business that I've ever worked with. John is amazing.
He is stupendous. I said, what he's done for me, I mean, I'm doing 10 interviews a week
Hmm.
around my busy studio schedule, and he could get me more if I had the time.
Yeah.
It's amazing what he's able to accomplish. Of course, he has a lot of big acts, and
Yep.
people respect him. So,
Yeah, and he's not one of those stuck-up publicists either. He's very down to earth, and that's why when he needs to get something out to the world, he knows who to contact, and they do it for him.
he seems to be able to do that. And I got to tell you, I've worked with a lot of publicists,
Mm.
and sometimes they come up with nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's just kind of weird. And then you get with John, and I think he knows the right people to talk to for the product that he's trying to get them to review, like my album. He knows the people that would be interested in, like Keith Emerson's Last Effort, or something I've done from my days with Sammy Hagar. Different. So I mean, he knows. He's a smart guy. We'll put it that way.
I agree. I agree. We're very excited, of course. That's why we're talking today about the new album. The rules have changed. It was started by the late Keith Emerson, and you
Yeah.
you eventually took over. And of course, the revival of 3, which has now become 3.2. So we're going to talk about that. I just wanted to kind of go back a little bit. Looking back to when you were a young boy, can you kind of recall when music first impacted your life that you said, you know what, I need to do this?
It's kind of funny that you asked that, because my mom sang in my dad's big band. They had a band, and I mean, when I was born and before, I heard big band music rehearsed in the living room. And I even have somewhere an old tape of my dad's where I'm banging some drum that he left around when I was probably 2 years old or something. He's like, "Get that kid out of here," So I
Wow.
was always around music. So I'd say I was sentenced to music. I didn't have a choice. It just was always what I loved and always what I was going to do.
Now, as a kid, who were some of the bands or artists that you were listening to back then that maybe helped to shape your musical DNA?
Wow, there was so much. I mean, you got to figure my mom and dad were kind of the Frank Sinatra era,
Hmm.
a little bit Elvis Presley era. So I mean, I'm sure I heard that before I really knew what I was hearing. My mom constantly sang around the house. Then of course the Beatles came, and my dad had a music store at that point,
Oh, wow.
and he imported Vox guitars and amps from England, which is the amps that the Beatles used.
Yes.
And in fact, his good friend was the Vox rep here, and actually took the Vox amps to Candlestick,
Hmm.
for one of their big concerts out here in the back of his station wagon. And when they were done with them, the guy called up my dad and said, "Hey, do you think your son?" I mean, it was 9 or something. Do you think your son want to buy one of these? I have the amps the Beatles use, and they're just going to go to stores if you want one. So my dad asked me, "Would you be interested?" I said, "How much money is that?" He goes, "Well, they cost me about $800."
Wow.
For a 9-year-old boy, $800. I said, "Well, what would a new one cost me?" "Well, the 800, but the same thing." I said, "Well, I'd rather get a new one if I ever bought one." Duh.
Exactly.
An amp An amp that we actually would know the Beatles used, and of course, I was so young, I didn't know. I wasn't in a band or anything,
Yeah.
But so I heard that, and the '60s music. I mean, I got into mostly English stuff then in the '70s.
Mm.
High school was Jethro Tull and Moody Blues, Led Zeppelin. I don't think Yes was around yet, but once Yes was around, then I was a Yes Genesis fan, kind of progressive rock and the English stuff. Even Led Zeppelin had some sort of progressive stuff, the sound quality and the Celtic guitar stuff that Jimmy Page would do. Acoustic, always still good stuff. So, I mean, since I was in high school, right at the end of high school, I started working in a recording studio. And my influencers are so wide, I recorded mariachi sessions at this guy's studio. It's called Tiki. It's still going. They did a lot of Mexican music.
Mm-hmm.
I did country stuff because the owner was a country guy, and all the country bands would come in and work with him. I was exposed to everything. So I'm kind of a tough one to pin down, put it that way.
Well, I think it's a very good mix for the business that you're in. As a composer and a musician and such, I think it can only improve you as a musician.
And what I like to tell people when they come in, I'm talking about producing an album or something, I say, my toolbox is very full with all kinds of ideas. Every day that I work with somebody, I pick up something, I put in that toolbox, and I have that to choose from, no matter what kind of music it is. And it does create something different, by the time... if someone comes in and wants to do we want to kind of knock Foo Fighters off the chart, that kind of rock.
Yeah.
Well, I can go way back to the Who, kind of, and I can do some Nirvana. Think about all these guys and think, well, how would we make this unique for you? And so I pull all these things out of my tool chest, I'll call it. And even some country stuff, some of those guitar players, Vince Gill and stuff, my God, they are so good.
Oh, they're great pickers. Hello?
For sure.
Oh, there you are. There. Yeah, we were recently with Great White last week. Jack Russell's Great White, and Robbie Lochner, the guitarist. We were at the sound check, and you think during the sound check he's going to come out and he's just going to hit some power chords or do some great riff or shred, or whatever. Comes out, he had just broken his toe a few days earlier. An air conditioner had fell on it in his garage. So he's sitting down during the sound check, and he plugs in, and he starts playing Mozart on the guitar. Classical music as a warm up, and we were just blown away at the dexterity, and I mean everything note for note, and it was fantastic. So. It's like what we're talking about here. You have all these different musical influences, and it shines through what you do. I mean, here's this rocker, and he just starts banging out some classical, Mozart on the guitar, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. And I think that rounds you out as a musician as well.
Sure, he's got that in his toolbox, That's,
exactly, the toolbox. That's got to be the name of your next album, the toolbox. And you just put all your influences in there for everybody to hear, and they're going to go, I know what this guy's talking about. Now,
maybe I can get Stanley that makes tools, maybe I can get them to donate,
there you go.
50,000 toolboxes for the album cover case.
That would be phenomenal, man. Oh my gosh. See, there's another idea for the toolbox.
Yeah, and then I'd have to get FedEx or UPS, somebody on my side, because to ship that thing would be awfully expensive.
It would be very expensive. Now, as a player of guitar and other instruments and such, are you self-taught as a musician?
I had 8 years of classical piano, 2 years of jazz, 8 years of music in college. I had 2 guitar lessons and just didn't like the guy I took him from what he wanted me to do. And this was like when I was 11, probably.
Uh-huh.
And from there, I knew enough to play on those country sessions, the simple country chords.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing that at the studio, Tiki. And little by little, I had a drum set in my garage. I started playing that. It was my dad's old band's drum set.
Mm-hmm.
Started playing that, self-taught on that, and it just developed. I think if you have a good foundation on, like I had on piano, and especially getting into college, I majored in voice in college. I had a good foundation in that.
Wow.
You can learn the other things. I've even done saxophones, which I don't play, like a sax section on a song one time, just with a big eye chart with the fingering on it, playing the parts. Just you can do it. You put your mind to it, right? You could. Everything's easy when you're an expert at it.
Sure.
You could be a rocket scientist. It's probably easy for them. They know what the calculations are and stuff. You know. For us, we're like, rocket science.
But like you said, as long as we apply ourselves, should be a piece of cake.
That's right.
Now, your voice, you were talking about, is also your instrument as well. What do you do, if anything, to maintain your vocal integrity while you're on tour?
You know, I had a terrible experience that I only figured out about 2005, 2006. I joined the band Ambrosia, one of my favorite bands, back when they were a progressive band, Life Beyond LA, nice, very nice. They were one of my favorites. My band, local band Hush, would open for them. And I thought, oh, this is a great band. And there was the opportunity to join them. Well, besides that progressive stuff, they had done this Blue-Eyed Soul, like You're the Biggest Part of Me, in this real middle-of-the-road kind of stuff with these high vocals.
Yes.
So I decided, since I was going on tour with them, that I would gargle with Listerine every day and make sure I never got sick. And that was my plan.
Okay.
So, alcohol strips your vocal cords. And a year into it, I'm not singing quite as good as I did when I first started. And then a year and a half into it, I'm having to struggle to really hit some of the things. I have to drink a lot of water during the day to hydrate my vocal cords. And then finally, I was talking to another singer. Said, "Oh, man, you don't do alcohol if you have to sing that kind of stuff." And Listerine has alcohol in it. It strips your vocal cords. It's like when you put it on a wound and it dries it up.
Yes.
Or the fumes from it, and then that's what would get your vocal cords.
Oh, my.
So I stopped doing that, started drinking a lot of water whenever I'm going to perform, and I hear the vocal cords are the last thing to get hydrated in your body, so you have to really lay it on, and it totally, my voice came back stronger than ever, and I feel like kicking myself for not knowing that 20 years ago.
Yeah, well, we learn as we go, right?
That's right, evidently.
Now, you mentioned Ambrosia, who's going to be in our neighborhood in about 2 weeks, and I actually know Burley Drummond very well.
Fantastic drummer, fantastic guy.
Oh, I know, and it's so funny that his last name is Drummond. I mean, I find that hilarious, It was meant to be.
Yeah.
And John is also handling them as well, so John Lappin. So you know each other. John's handling both of you guys. I think everything's going great.
Well, and John handles
Foreigner, yeah. Greg Kinn.
People trust him.
Yeah.
Yep, he's going to do his job, and he does it well, and we like that.
Let me ask you, speaking of Greg Kinn, were you performing with him like last month here in Pompano Beach when they were on tour?
No, Greg has I think it's 15 shows that Rick Springfield's manager put together.
Yes.
And, of course, last year Greg and I have now mounted and Greg Kinn rekindled, which I wrote. I was his co-writer, and I produced the album at my studio, so I'm really involved with Greg quite heavily.
Oh, he's phenomenal. And his stories, my gosh, he's great.
Oh, yeah. He remembers everything. I don't know how. The drugs and drinking that guy did. I've never done any drugs, and I can't remember what I did with a Steve Allen GTR in 1986. He can go back to when he was 22, living on the streets of San Francisco, playing with a little cup in front of himself on the street. He remembers everything.
Yeah, and if it was raining or sunny or what the temperature was, too. Yeah, he's very detailed.
Right. But he's out with Rick Springfield is actually backing up. His band is. So Tommy Two-Tone comes out, has Rick Springfield's band backing him up.
Yeah.
Ray comes out, has Rick Springfield's band. Then they have either Eddie Money or Loverboy or somebody do it. Then Rick plays with his band.
Yeah.
But it was just a package that Greg wanted to do, and they're friends, they're buddies. So I'm so busy with this 3.2 thing that it didn't really make sense for me to go do those shows, especially when Rick's band could do.
Oh, yeah.
It's a quick backup. I mean, it's not the ultimate. It's not really rocking like Greg likes to do, but he's only doing 5 songs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we reviewed that show, actually, and then after the show, we went back, said hello, everyone, and kind of became a magnet to Tommy Two-Tone. I said, you want to go get some seafood? So we took him out to dinner and everything, and this this little restaurant on the beach here in Florida called Aruba Beach Cafe has this little stage in the corner. I had an acoustic in the car, and he goes, well, bring it out, and this is after a couple of drinks, and he got up there. Everything was, broken down as far as the PA system and everything. So he was just singing at the top of his lungs, playing the guitar, and it was just fantastic after he had just done the show. So yeah, a really good group of guys on that tour. Is fantastic.
Yeah, and I think they're getting pretty good reviews on it. So that's good for Greg,
Yes.
We've already booked some band things for next year. Of course, he and I are working on the next album. We're only halfway done with that. But like I said, he's been busy and I've been busy the last part of this year here. So we'll finish it up the first part of next year probably.
Good. Well, let's jump ahead real quick to The Rules Have Changed. An album, of course, that your good friend Keith Emerson was working on before his passing.
Mm-hmm.
And just wondering, did you finish this album with the same integrity that Keith had started with, or did you add your own little flavor to it?
We had mapped out exactly what we wanted to do. After we got complete artistic control and a good budget and everything from Frontiers Records, they were really gracious to us. Keith and I spoke a lot about it, what we wanted to do. We talked about what we had done back in 1987, 88, and we wanted to retain some of that. What we've learned in the 27 years at that point, since the last album. And, of course, we had worked together on a bunch of different things.
Mm-hmm.
He played in a Tempest album, which is a Celtic rock band I produced, and did some commercials and did a solo on a song of mine, and he's just done all kinds of things with me. And over those years, staying friends and saying hi and just growing, we wanted to put whatever that was in a new album. So we mapped it out. Good outline for him. I had some cassette recordings from 1987 that we had worked on that we didn't use. I had a bunch of digital files he had sent me of parts he played, and they weren't the songs. They weren't complete. They were just the Emerson parts, which was really cool for me. So on the first album, I had a lot of songs. He had some, and we made them fit three. Mm-hmm. On this album, we had the stuff that fit, and then the songs would be written around it, kind of. And it made it a interesting challenge, but also I think it gave it a lot more continuity than the first album had. So it was kind of cool. It was like all these missing puzzle pieces, So we had that all laid out. Then, of course, Keith died. He was gone. And I wasn't going to finish it. I thought there was no really honest way to finish this without Keith. He was the sound of three. I might have been the voice, and I wrote most of the songs, but he was the sound of it.
Yeah.
And about 6 months later, I thought, why don't I call his son? Maybe Aaron Emerson would play in it. And Aaron was all excited. He said, that would be great, because Aaron was suffering, too, from his tragic loss of his dad.
Sure.
Good for him. And I made the mistake of sending him a really hard song Keith and I had done, which is called One by One. It had a tremendously hard dual piano intro to it. And Aaron called. He says, oh, no, this is the way my dad is. Wait for it. Yeah, I can't do this. Right? I thought, I should have sent him one of the easier ones to start with and work to match it with,
Yeah.
But even though he declined to do it at that point, it sort of got me rekindled into fulfilling that dream I had, and also the roadmap that Keith and I had. I had 20% of his parts already done, and 5 of the 8 songs were ready for him to come in and finish up his parts and do the solos and stuff. Me to do vocals, that kind of stuff. So we were probably a good 40% into the album with the writing and the playing that was on it. And, of course, that all changed, and I had to get in, and about a year later, after I started, I finally got to the point where I felt I had done what we had set out to do. I wasn't sure what that was. At the point, I'd spent hundreds of hours by myself finishing it up. I didn't know exactly what it was that I had, but I know I had something, and I started sending it around the record company and a couple people to check it, and they liked it, and that's the only reason it's out now, because I was thinking about not releasing it.
Well, if you go online and you look at a lot of the reviews that have been made about the album, they are all extremely positive. So I think you held up to the legacy that is Keith Emerson, and hit it out of the ballpark on this one.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. say that myself.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to jinx it, but I've been totally amazed at how kind people have been, and honestly, that they gave it a chance. They said,
Yes.
I'm going to listen to this. I'm going to sit down. And because they listened to it, and they were open, it's sort of amazing. You know, the first album got criticized quite heavily, at least Keith did.
Yeah.
Because people weren't ready to hear Keith Emerson playing on songs, so half that album was songs and half of it was progressive. But this one, like I said, had more continuity. But people weren't expecting that. I think they sometimes checked it out to say, oh, not another one of these. Let's see if they learned anything.
Sure, sure.
And hopefully, and I think that, like you said, the reviews, they were pleasantly surprised. I mean, it doesn't get better than that, right?
No, definitely not. What's amazing, I'm actually have not listened to the album personally. John is sending it my way as we speak, so I'm looking forward to that. And just wondering what's next for you in the immediate future. I mean, I'm sure your plate is overflowing right now. So what's going on?
It is busy. Like I said, I'm doing quite a few interviews every week. Right now, there's a manager that is trying to put together a world tour for early next year, March or April, from South America to Russia, he says.
Wow.
And I said, okay, because I think this is a legitimate thing that people are going to want to see live. And then he wants me to do my whole history in 30 years of progressive rock, starting playing a couple songs off the first 3 albums, playing some stuff off GTR, did with Steve Howe.
Right.
Just everything along the way, kind of, you know. So that's the plan, along with a very busy studio schedule, because my studio stays quite booked up, and until I really have to shut down for band rehearsals and stuff, I just kind of keep it all going. There's also December people coming up, November, December.
Yes.
Last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very cool project that has been going for 8 years. I had a couple managers for it that just didn't do things, that didn't spread the brand, and didn't make more out of it. So this is our last year to do this. We do it for charity. And you can check out DecemberPeople.com if you want to hear some interesting holiday music. It's done in the styles of all the classic rock guys that I think you like.
Yes.
You know, it seems to be right where you're a musical stylist, too. I think you would find it very interesting. So check out that promotional video on there. And I can get you a CD through John sometime of that.
All right, wonderful. Robert, I want to thank you so much for going above and beyond and giving us your time today for this interview. And, we look forward to more exciting projects for you in the near future as well.
All right, man. Thank you. It's good talking to you. And we get down to Florida, which we have to on this tour. I'll meet you in person.
Sounds great. We'll go do dinner.
All right, man. Thanks.
Safe travels, buddy.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.